Morning, everybody, or afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. It is morning when I'm filming it. This is a video on how to get started with the cell phone folder project. Okay, so you're going to have a project that looks something like this. There are a couple different requirements. One of them being the degree of angle that you need to bend into it, the letters, things like that that are specific to what you're doing. Otherwise, this is going to be a video that's just going to get you through designing this pretty quickly and getting the G code created. So that way you can head over to the Plasma-Cut table. So I'm going to go ahead and go to open. We're going to open a new one. I'm not sure what this file was that I already had up. Try that again. New. There we go. So going to start off with making a piece of metal that's going to be 9 inches by 3 inches. And this is what is required. Once you have that, let's go ahead and come in here. Make sure that it's not show fill is off. You want show fill on. So that's Alt S, or you can go up to view and show fill, and that changes it so you can see just the outline of the object. We want it to be on. It has to be on for this to work. Double click on it, you get a couple of these nodes showing up here, but these are not the blue nodes that allow us to edit the object here. Delete this other stuff. So these are objects that, allow us to round the corners, and we want to round the corners. Okay, if you grab a hold of the left side, it's going to cut them out the other direction. Concave curve, we don't want that. We want the convex curve. This is a easier way to doing it. The other way would be to go over to the grinder and try for probably the entire class hour to make things round. Not one to do that. So you get your shape here. As a reference point, we are going to have about 3 inches of the bottom part of this being the bent part. That's actually the stand. It's going to hold it up. So I'm going to create a reference piece that's about 3 inches. Now I'm going to create my text. Click on the text tool. And you're going to put your first initial, last initial, and for simplicity's sake, I'm going to select my object. I'll put one in here at a time. Now I'm going to do show fill, so that way I can see my object as I'm working with it. And if I select both of these and then I click E, no, I don't want to split it apart, and C, well, C should have worked. We'll try that again. Okay, select your background object, hold Shift, the Shift key on right below Enter, or right below Caps Lock, and then hit C. Apparently that command's not working. It should put it in the middle for you. Not working. So I'll just do it manually. There's probably a setting on this computer, and I'm on computer number 1, that needs to be adjusted. I'll look for that later. Get it in the middle, and then Control D for your next initial. And you want to make sure that this one looks like it's centered also. And then I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to select the background object, hold the Shift key, click my object, come over here, and let's do an OR. XOR weld. And so I can show you what that actually looks like is that. Click show fill again. Hold shift, select the next object, click the OR button again, it cut that through. This is going to drop out into the middle of the water. So I'm going to create a bridge that attaches it, and to make it stronger, definitely connect it to the bottom and top. Don't just do one, because this is going to hold up the cell phone, and we're going to be bending this, so you want more points of contact if possible. Your bridge itself, so if I click off and then back onto it, I can see here that it's 0.263. That's fine. It needs to be at least 0.2, no smaller than 0.2. I'm gonna line this up on the far left-hand side there. Select that whole object, so it's 1, 2, and 3 objects that I'm selecting. I'll show that 1, 2, and then 3 individual objects. I can highlight the whole thing or use the shift command. And I'm going to do the basic weld, which welds it all together. So now these are all together. Now I come down here, I can delete my reference. Actually, no, I don't want to delete that yet. I need to leave that, so that way I can decide where my cell phone slot is going to go here, or the shelf slot. I'm going to make this 2 inches wide and 0.2 thick. And take the 2, so I'll try that again. Oh, okay, here's my, I'm glad it did this for a couple of you guys who are new and don't know what this button is. It changed it, and then it changed it back when I tried to make the 2. It's because my scale or proportional scaling is locked on. I want to unlock that, so that way I can change the actual shape. Sometimes that's good to keep that on, so you don't actually accidentally drag the corner of something and make it make the picture or whatever you're working with out of proportion. It will keep it in proportion. I don't need that right now. And this is 2 and 0.2. Okay, I'm going to center this the best I can. I'm going to come down here about, from the way that the squares on my screen are looking, I'm going to go about half the distance in between these two, the bottom of the letters and the bottom of this will be where it bends, so that'll be the table. About halfway. Use the arrow keys to move it up there. And it looks like I'm about centered left and right. Now I'm going to select that, duplicate it again, add, and now I'm going to make the actual shelf that comes out. We bend that, and then we're going to weld it in place. So I need to make that. So it needs to be not as wide as the slot that's in here. So it needs to be, we'll say 1.8 wide, and we're going to make the thing 1.25. That should give us enough of a shelf to rest on once we bend that in half. So this thing is 9 inches. I'm going to go ahead and throw this underneath. The next part of this is going to be creating a new label. So you and your partner are working in one of the welding booths over here. You guys are going to claim that welding booth, you and a partner that you're working with. You're working together. This is how we're moving forward with the rest of the semester. 2 of you are in one booth, and so each of you are going to have a name tag. Once you get your name tag painted and hung up, then you're good to go. If you are in the same class hour as you were last time, you do not need to make a new one. So you're good at this point. You can go ahead and create your code and move forward, or skip forward in the video to be refreshed on how to do that. You can keep the same name tag if it works. Everybody does need to have a metal name tag. We're not going to do the paper name tags anymore. So quickly here, I'll show you how to do the name tag. Class hour, last name or first name, all caps, please. As a reminder, we do everything in caps in this program. Throw a bar underneath it, make sure it's at least 0.2. This one's 0.4. I don't need it to hang over the edge of the last letter for any reason. I'm gonna highlight everything there, weld it together. Come in here, and let's do 0.2. I'm gonna turn the proportional scaling on now because it's a circle. Select it, 5. The right size. If you need to make the bar thicker because your bar is too thin and it's touching the edges, or it's going to, once it fires up the plasma cutter, it's going to ruin it. Then go ahead and make your bar bigger. Select, do an OR weld. Now this is done and ready to cut out. I'm going to flip it 90 degrees right up at the top. And I do need to make sure that this is not going to be taller than 12. The squares that I'm giving you are going to be 12 by 12 again, and you guys should be able to share these between you and somebody else, you and the person you're sharing a booth with. This stuff is not taking up, it's not going to take up over half of that square that you're getting. So please share a square with somebody else. My name is going to be too tall. So after I get it completely done, I'm going to scale it down. And this will change the hole size, which we should be fine there if you follow in the directions. And some of you do have really long last names. That's fine. Should still be fine. I'm going to click in here 11.5. And I do want the scaling to stay locked, so that way it doesn't make the letters all wonky. So make this 11.5 in height. It changes the width already. Gets it all lined up. And take this down to the corner. If it doesn't automatically select this workspace, if you don't have a workspace, that's fine. If it doesn't select it already, or like auto snap to it, just go up here to your XY and put in 0 for your X and 0 for your Y. Now I'm looking at it and I can see that I'm still too tall. So 12.5 is an issue. So I need to move this guy out of the way, select this object, get it down here into the 0, 0 coordinates. It's 11, so I don't know if this box will actually fit here. You guys are learning with me. 12.4, so that's not going to work. So what we'll have to do is scooch all this stuff in here, closer together. I'm going to turn this box 90 degrees. What you can do is when you're sharing metal, have one of you, oh, and it looks like I forgot to put this piece in place. So if you did what I did, because you're following the video, then at this point you will need to select both objects and do an OR weld. Now I can see that it's cut all the way through and we're good to go there. So going back to the layout here, one of you probably needs to lay it out like this, and then one of you will need to lay it out with this over here, and then you do your 0 coordinates. So that way when you're sharing that piece of metal, they overlap each other. And then we should be good. I'm going to go ahead and put it back to how I had it. Do get this stuff shoved in as close as possible to each other. I'm going to highlight it, hit machine, hit create toolpath. I do not want mail. Apologize for that. The create toolpath, and it needs to be online toolpath. Feed rate 100% must be 100%. Has to be most important part of this whole thing. We are not doing a create lead in. If you're doing something where it's a fancy sign with bigger text, bigger letters, yeah, do a lead in. But for this, don't do a lead in. We're not concerned about seeing where the plasma arc started or anything like that. You do see it if you don't do a lead in. For this, it doesn't matter. So adjust start point, middle of longest, click OK. New button I learned about over Christmas break. These are show toolpath. And so this is show toolpath only, and then show toolpath and everything that you designed. I'm going to turn on just show toolpath. Select it all, make sure that I'm in 0, 0. This changes when you create the toolpath. And then you go machine, output. I'm going to do cut now. And with your own flash drive, which everybody should have, you're going to plug that into the computer. And so mine just popped up here. I'm going to organize this because this is one of my older flash drives that does not have just my stuff on it. Has everybody's stuff on it. So I'm putting it in a folder so I can find it quickly, and I'm going to put cell phone and name tag file. I'm going to hit save. So it's saving right to that flash drive. It's saved. Now I need to go up here, and I haven't even saved my file yet. I should have done that in the first like 10 seconds. Especially if computer crashes, then I would have just lost everything and had to restart. And I would have been pretty upset. So here, when you save it, we need to save it. This is the Torchmate program, so we're going to type in cell phone and name tag Torchmate. So label it what it's for, so that way as you get all of these different file names, you'll be able to find out what's going on. So at this point, I'm ready to go. Take my flash drive over there, plug it in. The G code saved on my flash drive. The program files saved on my flash drive. Make sure you put the flash drive in a secure location. If your welding jacket has a pocket, that would probably be a good place to put it. Then you know it's always in this room and you don't leave it at home or on your key ring that you don't have because your truck or car broke or you got dropped off or something. Just having it here is a good idea. And you can always back it up to your Google Drive, and then no matter what, you're going to have your files. If you do not have a flash drive yet, I would recommend doing this and backing it up onto your Google Drive. And that way you can continue to move forward with your assignments until you bring in $2 for a flash drive or you get a flash drive from home. Other things that I did not talk about is zooming in and out. So F7, well, there's an FN button right down here. FN, you hold that button and then you're going to hit F7. That zooms to your objects, or you can select an object and then F7 and it brings you exactly to it. And then FN F6 is zoom out. So F7, F6 zooms out. FN and then F7. Other quick command here is Alt S. That is show fill. And then the other button that I brought up new is the show toolpath button. So if you have any questions, please let me know.